Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So I don't know if you guys have already heard, this is basically the broken build in the Division 2 right now in the PTS. Now this is not live, so all of this is subject to change, and I can almost guarantee that this is definitely going to change. If not, maybe on the minimal or conservative guess, it has to change in PvP. That is for sure. Now, the Foundry Bulwark, or whatever you want to call it, is what we have here. This gear set gives you 10% armor, 3% armor regeneration for the 3 pieces. That's crazy. Gold and gear, even, and a 2-piece, you're getting 1% armor regeneration, okay? So this so-called 3 pieces is just so good at this point. And then, checking out the 4-piece, which is just absolutely mad. It says whenever you or your shield take damage, 40% of that amount is repaired to both over 10 seconds. So the more you constantly keep taking damage, this is going to keep giving you repair as you're going. That is ridiculously good. I really, really, really think this build was made for people who love shield builds. Now, here is the big, huge downside. I was playing this morning with Identity and Cold Boy, and I think we were also with McGuns and another gentleman, Ripper, and we were talking about this build, and the conclusion that everybody came to was this build is broken. In fact, every one of us came to 2 conclusions. I'm the only one who came to one of those conclusions and then another conclusion. So consensus-wise, this build is broken in PvP. You cannot leave this thing to go into the main game. We chased down this one dude. We chased him down the server for at least 4 or 5 minutes. You will see the clip here. And then a whole bunch of other people just stood in the dark zone testing this build out. And you basically almost cannot take out somebody, except maybe you focus the person on headshots, but that will mean the person has to be standing still. Even for people who hated Nomad or people who love Nomad, this build is broken in PvP. I mean, you guys are wondering, I'm talking about PvP. I got dragged into PvP by a couple of dudes today, and we tested it. I mean, it was one of those things where you couldn't even get out of the dark zone once you went rogue because you couldn't die. Like, it was just one of those things where it was hard to take down people even while using this build because the armor regeneration is just ridiculously good. And so that was what everybody concluded. In fact, we even took it to go play a legendary mission. And as we were playing the legendary mission, enemy NPCs in heroic open world basically camped us and, just bombarded us. And we basically could still not be killed. Enemy NPCs of every single faction were just running at us, and it was impossible. Like all 4 of us in the group, I think 3 or 4 of us, we all ran this build and it was impossible to take us down. So I guess we already have an issue in our hands that this build is very strong or too strong. But here is my only worry and my caveat. In testing it out, we only tested it for about 2 minutes. We tested it in PvP, and just, initially it's like, okay, if you're trying to do time to kill and reduce that, this build makes no sense the way it is. But we don't have the raid. And I think that's where we need to kind of come back and say, okay, is this build really that strong? Because could this build be something that is able to take damage from the raid that's coming, or even from, damage to the point of Buddy and Lucy? Can this take damage from Lucy? Is this designed to be able to take damage from Lucy, and that's why it's just the way it is? Question mark. And so if we judge it based on PvP and PvE, based on the open world, based on maybe touching a little bit of legendary for a few seconds, you do see that, yeah, you can't do much damage, but over time, without a shield, you can always out-damage somebody down the road. So for PvP and even for PvE, I think these repair skills need to be solely, active while your Bulwark shield is being used. That is my recommendation on how to fix it. So once you pop that shield, you ought to be very tanky and very strong, yes, and not be able to deal enough damage that's able to take you to, for you to be able to 1v4 an entire team in PvP, or for you to just be able to run around in PvE. Now, granted, in PvE, if you try to run around without the shield, you will eventually get melted. Yes, your armor will disappear. And so, in my opinion, and I know the guys who disagree with me, this build is fine in PvE. If you're a tank, if you're a shield build, you can use this build in PvE. Now, you can also go roll reds on it. So as a PvE player, you can gain damage using it, but you're going to be missing out on so many other damage stats and other damage builds that you could run that it probably will not be good for you to be able to run this as a damage dealer. Maybe as a solo player, it will make sense for you. But then as you know, in PvP, this build right now, the way it is, has no room, or no application currently in PvP. It's just too strong. You have a tank, one tank in your team that has this build, they would change the entire gameplay flow and everything. So as much as it's a build that I love in PvE, I mean, just seeing the way it was in PvP, I just could not think of how this is going to, apply. And then, like in PvE, we didn't really do too much testing. We didn't have enough time to test all the legendaries, the bosses. There's a boss in Legendary District Union that can one-shot you. Could this build be something that mitigates that? Question mark. Maybe, maybe not. And so these are, considerations that we'll have to take. PvE has such a wide range, of things that if you think about all the applications there and start making a list, this build starts to seem like it fits into that, into PvE very well. But once you get to PvP, then man, it's just all over the, in fact, you know what? They just need to make this build not work in PvP. It will make everybody just happy. PvE, it should be brilliant, beautiful. There are 1,000 different variations of shield builds that you can make in PvP. But if you're trying to reduce time to kill, then I don't know. Maybe you PvP guys have an idea on how you want, this to work. But hey, I'm largely ignorant about, the PvP in this game because I don't really play it much. But from what I saw today and from the clips that I've been showing you, you basically see how, dirty this build will be in a context like that. So I'll get out of your hair. I just wanted to show this to you guys and let you guys, conclude what you're seeing from the minimal testing that we did. The next phase is to take it into the PvE and then do some really long-term stuff. And I'll try my best to bring you guys an update video as we go on with that. So once again, I appreciate your time and audience. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys hopefully in the next one. Peace.